All right, folks, in this video, we're going to take a look at how to beat the average tournament chess player. Of course, this game doesn't pertain to every single average tournament chess player because every player plays different, slightly different, even if they're the same rating level. But in general, these are the things you would have to do or have to look out for when playing against someone of the 14 to 1500 chess rating, which is about average tournament level. So a couple of things here. An average tournament chess player is going to probably play the opening pretty well. Now, depending on what opening you play, if you play a very basic opening like I am, the Italian game, they're going to play it pretty well. They shouldn't play it bad. So expect the players to play, a decent opening repertoire, have a decent opening repertoire. So here my opponent is playing the opening very well. And here he kind of sidetracked. Like, this is actually a good idea. It's just not the right move at the moment. The whole point of that is to trap the bishop so he can't come back. But I already played a3, which I mentioned in other videos. So I'm playing a3. So if the knight does do this, I have a home for my bishop. In other words, if you see your opponent play a3, knight a5 is a waste of time. Now, if I go back and I didn't play a3 and I played something like this would be totally okay because now my bishop's trapped and he gets the bishop pair. And that's what he wants to do there. That's the idea. So he knows about the idea. He just doesn't really understand the idea because after I play a3, he should move on to a move like this, let's say. But he still plays it, and it doesn't do anything, like I said, because I play a2. Not to mention, now I have a threat, naturally, because now his pieces are aimed to be forked. So I have the initiative, so he has to defend that, which he did. And then I put my bishop on e3. He takes, I take back, which again, like I said many times, I don't mind because it covers key central squares. Not to mention it opens the file for my rook when I castle kingside. Now I'm playing my famous or infamous chess samurai opening that I created myself. Now, I castle kingside and, okay, so my opponent attacks prematurely, and that's definitely a mistake right there. Now, usually, like, let's say he plays something like random like this. I would play this anyway because I want to put my rooks here and double up my rooks, but I don't want him playing annoying moves like that. So that's why I would put my pawn there. However, because he did it for no reason, now I can push him out with tempo. So I can play this move, in other words, with tempo. So that was a premature attack on his part because there was nothing really to attack. He just moved his pieces forward. And that doesn't really always do something in chess. You don't want to move your pieces forward unless you have a good idea, unless you have some type of backup waiting to come in and spring into action. Okay, so he comes back, and now I start doubling my rooks. He takes, I take back, and I bring my knight back into the game because I don't want my knight on the side of the board. Notice how I have all my pieces. I try to get all my pieces in the game and to work harmoniously. My rooks are in open files and they're doubled. My knight came back into the center. It's primed to come to d5. And this knight, when it clears, I'm going to have two rooks attacking the king. And my queen is eventually going to do something. Okay, so here my opponent gives me a pawn, but I'm hesitant to take it. And I think if you could describe chess ratings in a nutshell, it's like, when you get higher rated than someone else or where you were before, it's kind of like you're seeing the position differently. A higher rated player than a lower player. It's like you're not seeing the forest past the trees, whatever the expression is. You're seeing the bigger picture. So I can take this pawn, and actually that's the best move here. But I was hesitant to take the pawn because after I take the pawn, yeah, he does get some counterplay. Yes, I can defend it. But I wasn't sure about this. I wasn't sure if I wanted my knight here. I did, however, want my knight on d5. So I put my knight on d5 where it's a great square. It attacks the queen. And I wasn't really concerned about this pawn yet. I'm worried about the king side of the game. I'm not worried about the queen side. So I didn't really want to give him counterplay on the queen side. However, it was fine if I did take the pawn. Okay, my opponent moves away. And now I play d4. Now, why did I play d4? I played d4 for two reasons. Well, I want my queen to be activated on the king side. My queen is not getting into the game anytime soon, And also my knight cannot come to g5 because I'll just lose it. So d4 prepares to open up this diagonal, because if he takes, I take back and I open up my queen to the attack, my knight can come into the game, and now all my pieces can come into the game. Now notice that I'm not using cheap tricks to get my queen into the game. d4 is actually a good move that expands in the center. That's an improving move. It's a move that improves on my position. It's not a cheap trick or a trap or whatever you want to call it to get my pieces back into the game. I'm making good, solid, principled chess moves that improve my position, that I also have ideas though behind. My idea behind it is to get my queen into the game. So he doesn't take, and now here I saw that I could win a pawn by if I just keep on taking. Again, he does get some counterplay. He can get his rooks maybe down here or just put his rook here. I mean, it was fine. I knew it was fine. But I didn't want to give him that. I didn't want to give him any counterplay. I wanted to close up the position and concentrate on the king side, because I'm absolutely winning on the king side because I have all my pieces lined up for attack. So instead I pushed, which is a slight inaccuracy, but again, I have a reason behind why I'm doing it. And now my opponent takes, which I want him to do. I take back. I have 2 pawns in the center now. I'm controlling the center, and my queen and my knight can come into the game. Now my opponent's not playing bad. He's playing pretty well, but his pieces aren't really harmonious. This knight is kind of in the middle of nowhere and has nowhere to go. His queen and his rooks are on the back rank, and his knight is kind of, again, it's not really in the game and it has nowhere to go. It would have to kind of come like this to get back into the game. And here he abandons the queen side and comes to b8. Now, right here, I made a move and my opponent resigned. See if you can find this move. It's not super easy, but I don't think it's too difficult either. The move I played was knight f6 check. Now, the point behind knight f6 check is twofold. If he takes, that would not be good because I take back. His king side is busted open, and I have 2 rooks aimed at his king. Once I move my knight out of the way, my rook's going to come into the game, and I'm going to checkmate him. Now, if he doesn't take and just gets out of the check and says, oh, I see past all that nonsense, well, now that his queen is on b8, I would just simply pivot to d7, and now I have a fork, and I'm completely winning. After he moves his queen somewhere, let's say, I take, and then I can just move my knight up here, and this is a really big problem for my opponent. So after knight f6, my opponent resigned. Well, anyway, there you have it. That's kind of pretty typical game of how average tournament player would play. Pretty decent opening repertoire. Not missing too many big tactics or obvious tactics, but they'll still miss tactics, as you can see, that are a little bit more complicated at the end of the game. Anyway, if you like that video, check out this one, and please make sure you like and subscribe so I can continue making these videos. I'll catch you guys next time. Go play some chess.